Hello everybody, welcome to the Point Avenue Public Speaking Competition Senior category. This morning we had the Junior category, and now this afternoon we will be moving on into the Senior category. Obviously the tongue twister exercises earlier didn't work, huh? This is the first public speaking competition held by Point Avenue, so the winners for this edition will be forever remembered in history as the first champions of the champions of the first edition of this competition. Before we begin, just a few housekeeping rules, right, to the speaker so that you are aware of what you need to do. Your mark for speaking is here. You see this socket, right? That is where you want to stand around this area, right? Because that is directly in the middle and in line with the camera. If you want to move around, sure, you can move around, right? But you want to come back to your mark, right? Because that is the middle. Great. Second thing is when you come forward, don't immediately start speaking, right? So I'll call you forward. I'll call your name, next speaker forward. And then you come up here, you stand, you can look at us, and then we will give you a nod indicating that you are ready to or you are good to begin, right? Take a deep breath and then start your speech, right? You don't have to rush into it. The timer does not start until you speak, right? So when you're up front here, you have as long as you need before you start your speech because the timer does not start. When you start speaking, the timer starts, yeah? You have a maximum of 5 minutes. The first bell will be rung at 3 minutes. And then at 5 minutes, the bell will be rung twice. There you go. Great, all clear? All understood? Great. I will be your judge today. I'm Coach John, and I am a public speaking and debate coach at Point Avenue. And judging with me is Mr. Joseph Aaron Cardenas, even despite not feeling too well. But he's still here with us today because he loves to hear the speeches and wants to judge you guys as well. Great, thank you for joining us. He is our creative writing teacher as well as test prep teacher here at Point Avenue. Great. Without further ado, let's get this party started. Our first speaker for this afternoon will be Pryn.
One of the most important problems in the world right now is the refugee problem. Refugees are people who have been forced to move away from their homes due to violence, starvation, and poverty. When these people move to a new country, they don't have the basic needs they need to survive. Now you might be wondering, how is this even related to unity? Well, I said earlier that people become refugees due to violence. What causes violence is disagreement. So if we were to be more united, disagreement would be lowered, correct? Before moving countries, most lack access to food, healthcare, and lots of communities. And when they successfully arrive, the situation would be even worse because they would not have what they had before, such as money or jobs, and some can't even get contact with their families. The country receiving refugees have problems as well. Refugees can harm the economy by increasing the prices and demands for essential food, education, and jobs. And this problem isn't new to us. It started in 1681. It was French Protestants migrating to England. This mass migration resulted in one of the first refugee communities seeking a new life free from persecution, settling, working, and living in Britain. Now, examples of the countries that have this problem is Ukraine, Afghanistan, and Iraq. the countries receiving refugees are Syria, Venezuela, and the USA. Anti-immigrations. The anti-immigration policies, which is the opposite of anti-immigration, the opposite of immigration and immigrants, have been a huge problem. The USA have a long history of anti-immigrants views that had affected Irish, Chinese, Mexicans, and many more communities. And the reason being that the refugees will take the American jobs, lower their wages, and especially hurt the poor. And this is making refugees' lives harder. And it's exactly what unity can solve. There's nothing on the record that shows that immigrants have more criminal tendencies or records than nationals. And this just proves to us they are just like us. They're human too. Now, the solution might not be obvious here, but if we get everyone to understand each other, that we all live in the same place, which is obviously Earth, and that you can't just get rid of someone just because they're trying to survive, just because they're moving countries. And by just understanding this, the problem will be solved. And the refugees get jobs because they want food, they want to live. By just understanding this, the problem will be solved. Refugees are not going to be a problem anymore with us uniting, helping each other, and this is why we should unite the world. Thank you for listening.
Okay, good job, Ben. Thank you so much. I just have one question for you, but I was wondering. I really appreciated your talk on refugees. I guess I would want to know, as someone who now is concerned from the speech that you gave, what is something that I could do physically? Like, how can I physically help with this issue?
You can tell people that refugees are not a threat. They're not harming us or anything. And you can also donate.
Donate. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Prim. You may take your seat. Right. Thank you, Pin, for that speech. Our next speaker for this afternoon is Prim. A round of applause.
Can I take off my mask? It was once said that the people of this world must unite or they will perish. The people of this world, the 7 billion different, unique individuals, must unite or they will perish. When thinking about this speech, I wondered, what does the term unite the world mean? Was it literally stating we should unite the world? Was this competition getting me to unite all 7 continents through some severe complex forms of engineering? Or was it trying to stop wars from ever happening again, bring world peace, and save millions of lives? Well, after hours of contemplation, I soon came up with a diagnosis that made the most sense to me. I know and support the fact that this phrase will have a different meaning to everyone, but this is the interpretation that made the most sense to me. Now, some of you may remember an incident that rocked the world. On the 23rd of June, 2018, 12 boys and their soccer coach were reported missing after they went to explore caves in northern Thailand. The weeks that followed were filled with volunteers from across the globe, brave sacrifices, and infinite threads of hope. Experienced divers across multiple nations volunteered to assist in the rescue of these 13 young lives. They spent hours exploring complex, dangerous caves, and not to mention the 10,000 or more locals, soldiers, scientists, people who came together and willingly took part in helping assist this whole operation. And when their mission succeeded, it was music to the entire world. News anchors from the other side of the globe were flooded with relief and excitement. Families cried and hugged. and the public were overwhelmed with gratitude. Now you may ask, what am I trying to say? What point am I trying to illustrate? Well, believe it or not, this brings me back to my very first statement. What do I think unite the world means? Well, first of all, I would like to point out something obvious that I quickly ruled out. Uniting the world is not about making everyone fall in love with each other. It is not about painting a rainbow over the equator. It is putting aside our differences. It is coming together at the right times, like how these people from all over the world were brought together to rescue the 13 innocent lives trapped in the cave. It is remembering that we too are all, in one way or another, a family. Now, conflict is inevitable. That is the harsh truth. There will always be people, countries, regions with a thirst for violence and aggression. Uniting our world is not about bringing some permanent global form of peace. It is not scrunching up the definition of hatred and tossing it out the window. It is not about forgetting every mistake humanity has ever made. It is about learning from it. It is about coming together when we need it the most. It's about knowing deep down that at the end of the day, the only way we can truly progress to any form of a brighter future is by helping each other out, despite how troublesome it may seem at times. Bringing our world together is something that can be shared in those little pockets of time, those little spaces that some of us may ignore. When you eat the food from someone else's culture, when you smile at a stranger, when you learn, or attempt to learn really, a new language. It is in these moments we can feel more connected to someone across the ocean. We are all a part of something much bigger than ourselves, and it's time we've realized that. Uniting our world is about accepting the flawed and colorful population we have. It is about developing an understanding of the vibrant diversity rooted in our global community. It's about respecting the historic traditions and cultures of our ancestors. Learning to become more open-minded about those who do not see the world from our eyes. Learning to put on a different pair of glasses every morning. Learning to walk in a different set of shoes. So, in the event of when a time of conflict, confusion, or hardship does arise, we can work together to emerge even stronger than before. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Prim, for that speech. I think what opened my eyes from your speech is about the cave, the story of the boys getting stuck in the cave and the whole world uniting to help them out. So it seems like the world wants to unite. But what do you think is preventing the world from already uniting now?
Well, as I said, I think conflict is a really inevitable thing. And as I also mentioned, there will always be people or places that really don't want peace to happen for some reason. So I think that's always a barrier stopping us. For example, the war in Russia and Ukraine right now, people consider it a big cult in terms of uniting the world or getting the world peace. And they're not trying to, and even though of course people are trying to stop the war, I feel like ever since it's really been mentioned, the effort has been dying down. So I think it's really just a fact that every time something new is mentioned, people think about it for 2 weeks. It becomes a trend. It becomes a hashtag on TikTok or Instagram. And then it starts dying down. So the awareness of the issue really does not get spread out as much as it is supposed to. For example, no one really hears about feminism or women's rights anymore because I thought we solved those in 1960. But it's still a problem. So I think the real issue here is that people just don't spread awareness on it because they don't consider it to be a problem anymore, even though it is.
All right, thank you. Good job. Round of applause. Okay, thank you, Prim, for that speech. Now, I would like to invite our next speaker for this afternoon, Quinni. That's your mic. Okay.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Anamaran Suyankun. I am 11 years old, and I'm currently in Year 7 at Satit Basanmit International Program in Asok, Bangkok. I will be responding to today's topic on uniting the world. An interesting topic, which can be interpreted in many different ways. I will start my presentation by asking one question. Are you ready to reunite your world? People have always been somewhat divided, but things have never been as divided as they are today. The division has never been greater, politically, economically, ideologically, and theologically. And the future doesn't show any signs that the world will unite automatically. In fact, left unattended, the division will only likely to grow deeper and wider. So, how'd you do it? And you know what? A divided culture needs a united church. A divided nation needs united people. One of the key tasks of leadership is to unite people around common causes. My guess deep down, you wish your church, company, organization, or culture was more united. And whilst leadership has always been hard, this particular moment makes it even harder than ever. So, how'd you do it? First, just know you won't win them all. The challenge in leadership is to see life as it really is and keep your heart fully engaged. Second, start with the core, not with the crowd. United at the top, divided at the bottom. Divided at the top, united at the bottom. Third, schools should deliberately create diverse student bodies and make a deliberate commitment to making education a force to unite people, nations, and culture for a sustainable future. Students should be encouraged to study the history of their local area in a bid to inform their understanding of how to build a better future. Students should join together from all over the world so they can live together and they can gain valuable insights from different cultural and socioeconomic backgrounds, live in gaining insights so they know what to build and how to do it. How do we build a better future? Unity spreads, so does division. Instead of trying to reunite the crowd, start by uniting your core. You hear from the fringe, but you lead from your core. To effectively reunite people in a time of division, focus on what unites people, not on what divides them. Thank you.
That's so awesome, Quinni. Thank you. I have one question. I feel like you planned this plan for peace and for uniting people so well. I wanted to know the origins of that idea to come up with sort of steps that people can follow.
It's that first, people need to take a big step to start because you need to be brave enough. Motivational speeches help. Lots helps. But to make a motivational speech, you need to be brave. Bravery is a very important point.
Thank you, Quinni.
Thank you. Round of applause for Quinni. Yeah. I was so absorbed I forgot to hit the bell. Hopefully I don't forget again. All right. Next up we have Gordon. Round of applause.
Am I audible? Okay. So first thing that I start with an important thing. When I was creating the script, I'm thinking of what is Unite the World. And I searched on Google. I found a union that tells that Unite the World targets teenagers to be involved in promoting peace and tolerance. And that's what I go in the idea of my public speaking for today. So, as I said, targeting teenagers to be involved in promoting peace and tolerance is important. Nowadays, the world is full of terrorists and criminals. There are some teenagers who support violence. Teenagers, firstly, let us talk about teenagers. These teenagers are persons like us at the age of like high school or like primary six. Their teenagers are the age of growing into an adult, and they want to try new things, and they can be treated from the environments or their friends. For example, they have a community of being a poor people. Sometimes imagine about people don't having food to eat and they're starving. What do? Like they have no money. Sometimes they go to the trash and find some food to eat, or parents may teach them that they should go and steal food from people. And also, we need to admit that teenagers rely more on their friends. They try new things, interesting things, and bad things with friends. So let me ask you one question. What does your child do with their friends in each day? Do you know it? Do they tell you all about it? Well, maybe they will go and fight with other people or go and eat marijuana. And all the points we've been talking about are the reasons why we need to support teenagers to promote peace and tolerance. Well, I believe that everyone have a question, one very important question. Why do we only focus on teenagers? Well, as I mentioned, teenagers are the age of growing and trying, and adults are the age of working. They don't have time, or they have a very little time to think about these things. The only mindset of them is to have work for money and take care of their families. So for child, they are too young to understand these things, and that's all. After talking about the problems, let me talk about the solutions to change the mindset of teenagers. Firstly, let us focus on the environment. Environments affects a lot on how teenagers think. Looking at the environment of teenager is important. We need to curb the mental health problems if they have, and change their mindset about promoting peace and tolerance. There's another way that to involve the teenagers. Fortunately, after I searched about the Unite the World, I saw about the union called Unite the World. It's a union that promotes peace and tolerance for teenagers. Moreover, teenagers can do the same thing to change their friends' mindset as well. As I mentioned about teenagers relying on friends, these teenagers can change their friends' thoughts as well. And that's all.
Thank you, Gordon, for that speech. My question initially was why focus on teenagers, but then you already answered that. So my next question, my other question that I have for you is, so you talked about how we have to improve the environment of these teenagers to give them a better life. Their surroundings also have to be great. You have to support their mental health. But my question for you is, what would be your advice for teenagers to improve their own environment around them?
Uh, my advice will be uh, making them making them meet other people a lot so they can choose their friends and see if how they improve their mental health problems.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Gordon. Round of applause for Gordon. Okay, our next speaker for this afternoon is Peach.
Good afternoon, and today I'm going to be talking about the unites of the world. So, what if the world was one whole country? There would be just one universal language where we all agree on one language so we can communicate to each other and share each other's thoughts, because no one would understand anybody if we all spoke differently. But how are we going to survive as a whole country? In order to survive as a whole, we would need to fix some problems that are going on nowadays, such as food problems and water. Nowadays, many people are drinking infected water instead of clean water, and this is happening every single day. And each day, many pounds of foods are wasted. So if the world were to unite together, then we should not waste food in order to survive as a whole. And I think I have a solution that could fix this problem, such as planting corns. And you may ask how planting corn could help this problem. Planting corn can help this problem because corns can be used for many resources and things. Many foods are made up of corn, and many things are also made up of corn, such as soap or toothpaste. So if the world were to unite together, then what would happen to our religion? I think that people should be allowed to keep their own religion, because it would not be the right thing if we were to force anybody to change their own religion or their own beliefs. So nowadays, how has the world been keeping connections? One of the biggest things that has been keeping the world in touch is sports, because there are sports competitions where the whole world are playing together and competing with each other. Since sports are played in many countries, and when we have sports competitions such as football competitions or basketball competitions, each countries meet together and they would have to compete with each other as a team. And even if people like us aren't competing in sports competitions, we're still making connections with the world by watching them compete together through televisions. However, I think that if the world were to unite together, then national competitions would probably have to be divided into states or cities. Another thing that kept the world in touch is social media, because social media such as Facebook or Instagram is where people make posts or view other people's posts to gain ideas. And even if people, we even learn from social media, because such as the YouTube platform, we learn from it by looking up things we want to learn about. So if you even want to learn about cooking, you can just look up cooking channels and you can find videos and you can learn from them. And yeah, that is it. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Peach. You mentioned a few topics. So we talked about food, talked about allowing people to keep their religion, even sports and ideas of social media. What to you do you think is like the most important thing of all of those topics that you covered that we can like centralize in our goal to unite the world?
I think like mostly if you want to unite the world together, then you would obviously have to understand each other and you need to survive together as a whole, like I said. So I think language is the most important because if we all had like one universal language, then we all can understand each other and we can like try to like adapt to each other and like share cultural things together.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, Peach, for that speech. Rhyme, so it's true. Okay, next up we have WAWA.
Hello, my name is WAWA, and today I'm going to talk to you about what I think uniting the world is. Uniting the world, in my opinion, is bringing people together. Ceasing wars, discrimination, and working together to save important things in the world, like the environment, are 3 examples that I think connects to uniting the world. First, wars. Stopping wars have more benefits than starting them. To start with, there will be no dead and no destructions that may be caused during a fight. Putting an end to Ukraine and the Russia war will not only reunite separated families, they will also give answers to the worried. Although not everyone works well with each other, leaders of each and every country should not start wars, since the consequences of their actions will make the people suffer. When wars are happening, mostly, air travel is restricted for citizens. This will make people scared and want to reunite with their beloved. Therefore, countries should avoid from any conflict against each other. Second, discrimination. Problems like discrimination has a huge impact on society, from not wanting to be with a specific someone to stereotyping people who are different, such as being shorter or taller, having a disability, having a different gender, having a darker skin tone, and more. Racism, a word for discriminating skin tone, has become so distressing that even children in school are biased to one another. This has led to sadness, anger, depression, and lack of trust. A solution to solve this is to never judge anyone from the outside and be friendly to everyone in every skin tone, height, and gender. To summarize the things I said, I think people are people. Different or not, they should unite as one and don't deserve to be treated poorly for their differentiality. Third and last, the environment. Because humans cut down trees, use gasoline-powered engines, and throw garbage in the waters, the environment slowly deteriorates worse and worse. To solve this, in my opinion, people should come together and unite as one, where they can together plant trees and collect trash out of the ocean. Then take it to where it can be properly disposed, like what Team Trees and Team Seas are raising the money to do. This way or another, the world can be clean again, where animals will be no longer endangered or sick. Thus, we should come together donate, or help charities who are planning to clean the planet. In conclusion, uniting the world is a great idea for many people, as it gives world peace, and the benefits of it outweigh the disadvantages of attempting to unite the world. That is the end, and thank you for your listening.
Okay, thank you. Again, I forgot to ring the bell. My question for you, WAWA, thank you for that speech, but my question for you, WAWA, is that one of the goals of uniting the world that you say is to save the environment, right? But since uniting the world is something that might be difficult, is there a way that we could help the environment that we can do ourselves?
I think you could either donate to any charities, or you could plant your own trees in your own garden, and maybe you can take it and eat it yourselves, since you won't waste any money and you can regrow it later with the seeds.
Okay, sustainable living. I like that. All right, thank you. Okay, next up we have Aomsin. Yeah.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Well, before I start, may I have a question for all of you? What is our goal, our mission, our objective as the human race, as people? Well, I think it's obvious by now. It's to unite the world. But how do we unite the world in the first place? Well, I think that we cannot really do it, but we can do two things in order to create more unity and strengthen human races together. We have to get rid of two things. First is racism. Now, why does racism happen? Why do we have racism in the first place? Well, this is for two reasons. These two reasons are because A is ignorance, and B is hatred and ideologies. Now, for ignorance, let me give you an example. You have two groups. For example, the first group is the Chukchi group in Russia, and the second are the Amazonian tribes in Brazil. Now, do you think these two people will have any knowledge of each other? These two groups half a world away? Well, no. But this creates ignorance, and ignorance creates stereotypical views of other races. Therefore, we have to find a solution to this problem, which is very simple: education. If we educate people on different races, on different cultures, languages, we can break down the barrier between two groups. Despite being a world away, they can understand each other. They can learn from each other. And this is where phones, social media plays in. We can allow different groups of people to be able to communicate, to learn from each other. Another reason why racism happens is because of hatred and ideologies. These ideologies will spread hatred in order to manipulate common people, in order to do what the politicians want. So we have to find a way to stop this. And once again, the solution is in education. Educated people won't be brainwashed or manipulated as easily as those who don't have education. So if we give education, provide education to more and more people, then we can make them learn to resist hateful ideologies. Now, the second problem that is in the way of world unity is a much bigger problem and much more common, which is corruption from governments. Now, there are many, many factors that lead into corruption. But one of the biggest factors that causes corruption is greed. Greed for money. Greed for all the objects that you can get along with it. But the thing is that we have to find a way to stop corruption. And there are many problems that come from it. So how do we stop corruption? And just as the solution for the other two problems, it is with education. We can educate people in order to elect better governments into power. We can educate people in order to make them be able to observe the government and refuse any policies that can take advantage or manipulate them. So in conclusion, this is how we unite the world, getting rid of racism and corruption. So I would like to repeat, there is no colored, there is no white people, no blacks, no Asians. There are no women or men. There are only us, humans, only us people. And we, united, can finally bring a stop to the evils of the world. Thank you very much.
One second. Okay, Aomsin, thank you so much. I loved hearing that speech. Particularly, I really loved that you chose to focus on two things and to talk about them with such passion. These ideas of racism and corruption, I felt like are very pertinent. And so I wanted to know where have you seen or where did you sort of get this idea from to focus specifically on these two things?
Honestly, I am a person who really enjoys history. So when we read history, then we see all the terrible consequences of like hatred, of racism, and of corruption, and what it does to people, to common people.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Aomsin. Yeah. Next up, we have TangTang.
When you're talking about uniting the world, we can explain this with social network. As you see, technology has come to change our lives and change the world in many ways. For example, in the past, if there's some breaking news in the USA, it would take about 1 to 2 days until the people in Thailand will know about the news. In the present, only 1 second or even real time we'll be getting the information of the news, right? Another example is COVID-19 pandemic. As you see, it takes about 3 to 4 months until COVID is spread all around the world. We can't say that this is a problem of this country, that country, or anything like that. Our world right now has no borders, and all of us have to combine into one. Hello, I'm Nathat Kitisan. I'm from Sarsa's Extra School, and right now I'm studying in grade 8. Today, I'm not going to talk about social network or COVID-19, but I'll be talking about global citizenship. From the Russia and Ukraine war, you can see that the problem doesn't happen only at the war zone. It also affects the energy crisis from the part of economics in many countries, maybe all over the world. Not only Russia and Ukraine is having a problem. Other countries that support these two is also having like a conflict, and they are separating into 2 groups. And from the internal conflict in Myanmar, in Chan state, the people there have to sell drugs for buying weapons. And this happens, and even the bordering countries, for example, Thailand, is also a pass-through way of the people from Myanmar to send their drugs. So this problem goes all over the world too. These 2 examples can show that we are global citizens. Now, I'll be talking about climate crisis. It is one of our biggest problems, and the main problem of climate crisis is that there is too much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. When this happens, the heat from the sun is trapped in the atmosphere. And obviously, our temperature of the world will be higher and higher. Whoever that causes climate crisis
will not only be affected by it. Therefore, anyone who lives in this world can be affected by the climate crisis. Did you know, in the past years, almost 400,000 people there died because of climate crisis. And these problems can be because of the drought in the Horn of Africa, the floodings in Pakistan, or even the storms in many places of the world. If we not do something, more about 250,000 people can die in the year of 2030 to 2050 just because of climate crisis. I believe that in our world, there is both good people and bad people. We can't change all of the bad people into the good people. But however, I believe that there's more good people than bad people in our world. So when something bad happens, the good people have to unite the world and give pressure to the bad people so they'll be stopped doing it. We all have to join forces to unite the world. And lastly, I believe that our world could be better. Thank you.
Thank you, TangTang. I think what resonated with me the most in your speech is this idea that if all of the good people come together, that hopefully we, including myself, can take over, can defeat the bad people, right? But my question for you is, what can all of these good people do to defeat those bad people?
The solution of that question is firstly just to start in our families. Just unite our families into one. Then it could expand into a higher level and higher. For example, starting from family, maybe as a school right now, and then to a country, to continents, lastly to the world. So this is how we can solve this problem.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, TangTang, for that speech. Next up, the next speaker is Pryn.
Greetings. Greetings, I'm Pryn Tanabadi Tamachari from Sarasas Actress School. I'm here today to talk about Unite the World. The phrase Unite the World can have many perspectives. There are many campaigns that help the world unite, but there is one problem, a problem that is unnoticed by people, and this issue will continue to harm the earth from now until the future. With this problem, no one has ever taken it seriously and made any changes. You may have heard of this problem. It is called the climate crisis. Now, some of you may wonder how does the climate crisis and uniting the world are related to one another. People nowadays are using natural resources without thinking that it will run out one day. But as everyone is aware that everything has an expiry date. But why do they keep using natural resources when they are aware that it would eventually run out? Let me tell you the reason why. People cut down trees, burn fossil fuels, and creates an enormous amount of pollution just for the advantage of their own nations. This is the key cause of why the world is not united. Seems like people would do anything to profit themselves, wouldn't they? If everyone joins in and unite their efforts, this problem will be solved easily and quickly. To start with, the government. The government plays a big role in solving this issue. The national policy by each country's government must be aware of the environmental protection. The government must promote and support communities about climate crisis and encourage young children, all sectors to create unity power to the community level. There should be a campaign about environmental awareness and unity in the community
to cooperate together. For instance, a campaign to plant trees, water conservation, and recycling trash in the society. Perhaps it is the moment we change the way we live our lives. Individuals might not realize that small actions we do in our daily life can lead the world to an end. No matter how young or old we are, we can still do these simple things by conserving energy in your everyday life. Turn off the lights, unplug electronics when you aren't using them. Take short showers, recycling or reuse items instead of trashing them, walking or cycling as much as possible. Lastly, before I go, the climate crisis can't be stopped by only one person, but its actual one duty of being human is to preserve our world. Just to remind yourself that we all help build this unity, even if the powers come from a small group of people and forward it to the national level to create unity for the whole world. Thank you.
Awesome, Pryn. Thank you so much for that impassioned speech. One question that I had, you named several ways that we as people can get together, things that we can do. Personally, within our community, I want to know an example of something maybe that you do every day, personally yourself, at home to sort of help out with this issue.
Okay, so I live very close to my school, and sometimes when it's not raining, I walk to school, and when I come back, I walk to come back to my apartment. That can help the world a lot, even if it's a little thing. Because by not driving cars or taking public transportation, you can reduce the amount of the pollution in the world. And that is the one thing that I do in my daily life to help the earth.
Awesome. That's a great example. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Pryn. Our next speaker is Angath.
Hello everyone, I'm Angath from Modern International School, Bangkok. I'm here today to speak on the topic Unite the World. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers, the Point Avenue, for having given me this opportunity to present my thoughts here. The greatest writer J.K. Rowling once said, "We are only as strong as we are united, as weak as we are divided." Uniting the world is a tough job, but not an impossible one. Every year, the United Nations celebrates the World Peace Day on September 21st to strengthen the ideas on peace, humanity, and unity throughout the world. Unity represents togetherness and being there for one another like we all are one, symbolizing strength lies in unity. It means standing there with each other in every problem and success, living through each other's misery as well as happiness. This world has a room for everyone. It is rich to provide everything. We don't have to hate anyone. The way of life can be made more beautiful and amazing. But indeed, we have lost our way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goosed up misery and bloodshed. Right now, at this moment, when I stand here expressing my concerns on uniting nations, someone out there is dying due to our cruelness. Nature never has separated us. It is we humans who have set up our minds to build boundaries between nations. Why? Why do we need to create such barriers? We have various reasons to do so. Greed, gender, class, etc. But today, I would like to question the audience here. Each one of us talks about setting a legacy that the future generations will remember, isn't it? So what exactly do you mean by legacy? Legacy is not something that is set by an individual alone, but it is something that is set by a group of individuals. Remember, nobody in this world is born to lead a life aloof from this world. Each one of us is connected to everyone. All of us read the news headlines, right? Why do we read them? It is because we know that there are things happening around the world which in some way are connected to us, directly or indirectly, professionally or personally. And this might affect us in the near or far off future. Shutting doors and setting up boundaries doesn't make your life simpler. It makes it lonelier and emptier. Unity makes the weak one stronger, and it will always stand by it. Let's not fight for freedom. Let's fight for oneness and unity. Let's just not earn profits in figures. Let's earn prosperity to take away problems like misery, poverty, and hunger. Come, let us join hands together and take an oath to engage in business of doing good, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, hate, and intolerance. There's no I, there's no me. It'll only be us and we. And this, my friends, will make this world a better place to live. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Angath, for that inspiring speech. In your speech, you listed a few factors that cause people to create these boundaries between us. Things like greed, class, gender, all that stuff. But what do you think could be a factor that does the opposite of that? Factors that we could look for that unites us together.
So basically, like when we are in schools, the thing starts from school. You say that the student's second home is a school. So in a school, students should be taught to be united. As one of them mentioned, that school, the place is school where people get biased, they are teased. So basically, what we should do is, we should not bias them. We should think we all are one and be friends with everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you, Angath, for that speech. Our next speaker is Garch. Oh, not our left.
Okay, I really need to pee, so I'll make this quick. Hi, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and men. I have a weird question. Have you ever tried ketchup and rice together? It's a weird combination, I know. Literally no one is saying, hey, what you eating? Oh, just some ketchup and rice. But somehow that salty ketchup goes so well with the plain rice. It's just, you would never imagine them to, and it's mind-blowing. I'll bring this back later, don't worry, it's not random. So when asked how I would unite the world, I was kind of baffled because I thought, we don't need to unite the world. We already are, but in not the way you think. Let's face it, on the surface, we're divided. We have countries to divide up the world's land. We have languages to divide up our communication. And we have giant bodies of water, so we don't need to see each other as often. But what we lack in physical and geographical limitations, we make up for what we are. We don't need uniting because we're humans. And that kind of unites us in a very weird way. We're all humans, we all feel sadness, joy, anger, disgust, fear. These are not just the characters to the hit movie Inside Out. They are what unites us. They are what combines us as one. We may be different. We may be different shades, but we are different as we were saying. We are different shades of the same color. We at heart know the rights and wrongs of not only the universe, but of ourselves. We are the ketchup and rice. See how I like that? We are the ketchup and rice. We are that unlikely combination. Things you would never think would go together. Old white men and teenage black guys. Kind of went off the rails on that one. Our appearances may vary, our biases may vary, and our skills may vary. But what shall never vary is our rights. We are humans, and that is a right I refuse to never give up. We are who we are, and that unites us. We are the same, you and I, me and your uncle, me and your dad, me and your great-grandma, me and the clown you hired on your 5th birthday. We're all the same. We are humans. And so when asked how I would unite the world, I would answer, I don't need to. Because we're already united, already bound together. We're already human. Thank you.
Okay, Garch, thank you so much for sharing your speech. I really liked the tone that you approached this from. It's very different from even other speeches I've seen in other sorts of events. I want to know, like, what inspired you to sort of approach this idea of world unity from this perspective?
It's a really weird answer, but have you guys ever watched The Office? It's a great show, and you can kind of see the diversity of it. Everyone is different in their own way, and yet the show is called The Office. They're united. They're different. There's a Stanley, Kevin, I'm just naming characters. If you don't know the show, you won't get the metaphor, but they're the same in some really weird way, and that, to me, kind of was special, and I took my ideas from the show.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Kram. Round of applause.
As the world has grown so fast these days, people around us are starting to get busy with work, study, and learning new things. This lifestyle could make us miss a chance to join together again, especially in a big city like Bangkok. Have you ever questioned yourself, how long in a day have you ever spent time alone, not going anywhere, was scrolling on your phone, or maybe TikToks, something like that, be on your own? 2 years ago, I was a regular student, study, play, and come home. Until I need to meet my new challenge in my life, which is sailing. I was trained by a group of sailors in Sattahip. And apart from sailing skills that I need to learn, I also learned how to be a good friend, sportsmanship, how to work as a team, how to help each other. And last year, I had a chance to participate in an event, which is Singapore National Sailing Championship. Over 200 people from different countries don't even know each other to one arena. I have lots of fun with them. And even though we are competitors, we still shake hands. We are still friends. And I made many friends from many countries there. I was amazed how sport could join people who don't know each other from different language, different cultures, different countries together to one arena to share the same goal.
to make more friends. Even though they don't know each other, but sport can join them together. As someone think, maybe this is too short, but I think that it doesn't need to be long to be understood. Lastly, I would like to invite everyone in this classroom to play sports. A very small thing that can make the world reunite again. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kram, for that speech. I think what I want to ask about the most, although this isn't a typical question, is how did you get into sailing?
Students, you study, sit all day in that ridiculous chair, spending time with no fun. I think you need to live with a target. Studying, I have like a normal person. Yeah, that day, I don't want to be normal. I don't want to be boring as normal. So I start to find something fun to make myself fun. And my mom came across one event is the beginner course, which is for sailing. And I fell in love with it. It's just amazing. Yeah?
Is there an adult course?
There is.
There is? All right. I'll talk to you later. Okay, thank you. Right? For real. Next up, our next speaker is whale, right? Yeah. No? Oh. Next speaker is Poon. Okay? All right, Poon.
Around 5,000 years ago, the Greeks described the earth in their mythology
as Mother Earth, which implies that we are the children of Mother Earth. It brings up a fact that we are connected by family. Yes, all of us. Scientists agree that we are from a species called Homo habilis, a species that evolved from monkeys and will evolve into modern-day humans. You may be wondering, why am I saying this? I am trying to prove that humans started as a family and aren't that different at all, and we shouldn't separate ourselves now. Adding on to what I said before, nowadays we humans separate each other because of different cultures, beliefs, and opinions. We stereotype against each other, we be racist against each other, and then that caused us to separate into groups of different people. These groups will often lead to conflicts between misunderstandings or beliefs that are not the same. Examples of these are religions and governments that constantly clash against each other, causing conflicts that can scar the earth. These conflicts aren't healthy and can cause our global family to fall out. For example, World War II, one of the biggest and bloodiest wars in the entire history, was caused by a misunderstanding between a group of people. It killed up to 50 million people just because of a misunderstanding. If we unite each other, we can make sure that those 50 million people who died in World War II don't turn into 100 million people. Now, you may be wondering, how? How do we unite the world? Well, we need to stop stereotyping and racism. Stereotyping, judging someone just because of what their type of people do or like. This is terrible for humans because it doesn't allow people to show themselves, to express themselves, and differentiate from other people. Racism is a way of judging people by how a person looks. It is as bad as stereotyping and can't let people express themselves. If we solve these problems, we can guarantee that our world will unite and we will be family again. Thank you.
Okay, Poon, thank you so much for sharing that. One thing that really stood out to me was this idea of coming from like a Mother Earth, right? And we're all family and in this together. What I was wondering, one thing that I guess you would imagine that you could do to help to inspire people to either maintain or to come again as a family?
maybe show that we're not really different, and maybe show that we are actually like the same species.
Okay. Show that we're all the same.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right, so those are all of our speakers. Congratulations to all the speakers because you guys all gave amazing, amazing speeches. I bet Mr. Joe can agree with that.
Oh, yes. I was almost brought to
Yes.
tears a few times.
Yeah, great, great stuff. But now it is time for the judges to, actually, we will have snacks for everyone, so you may leave. We will reconvene in about 15 minutes. It's supposed to be 10, but we're going to take 15 because this is going to be hard, right? We're going to need some extra time. So 15 minutes, we'll come back for the announcements of the results. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the award ceremony for the Point Avenue Public Speaking Competition. So we've done the workshop, we've done the speeches, we've answered the questions. Now there's only one thing left to do. What is it? It's time for the? No, it's time for me to give a speech. I did that joke twice. I did it this morning as well. Okay, it hits every time. So I would like to thank all the participants for taking your time, not only to sign up and to show up today, but also the effort that you guys put into writing the speeches, rehearsing the speeches. It really showed during the presentation of those speeches that you guys put in a lot of effort into the speeches. So regardless of the results, I think everybody deserves a round of applause. But however, when it comes to competitions, it is the nature of competitions that there will be people who win and there will be people who have yet to win. That being said, we shall move forward into the award ceremony where we announce the winners and the results for the competition. I have the results here in my hand. Here they are. In third place, we have, drum roll please. Congratulations, TangTang! All right, so this is for you. All right, let's take some pictures. Come on in, you can come closer. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, congratulations.
Oh, that's me. Okay, so for second place today, everyone's ready? Want to do another drum roll? We have Angath. Where are you, sir? Yes, sir. There we go.
Woo. All right, here you go. 1, 2, 3. All right, great. Congratulations. And for the champion of the first edition of the Point Avenue Public Speaking Competition shall be remembered till the end of times or until we all burn up because of global warming. The champion is Pryn! All right. Congratulations. All right, thank you. You may take your seat. If you guys didn't win, or it's okay, there's a lot of other chances. I think everybody did a good job. I think regardless of the results, everybody here is definitely a winner. Congratulations to everyone, and congratulations to everyone in general. Yeah, congratulations everyone. So that marks the end of the first edition of the Point Avenue Public Speaking Competition. Thank you for coming. Thank you, parents, for your support. And thank you to everyone watching us online. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Point Avenue Facebook page. Great. Some promotions as well that we have here at Point Avenue. Some interesting things coming up. If you liked this event, you might like our other events. We have a creative writing workshop coming up, which is going to be taught by Mr. Joe over here. We have fun with fiction. We have debate workshops. We have
journalism.
journalism workshop. Yes, thank you. And we have a whole bunch of other activities and programs that you can look up. On your way out, we will have a lot of people out there wearing the black Point Avenue shirt that you can ask, and they will be more than happy to inform you about these programs if you are interested, or at least lead you to the right person to ask. Great. That's all. Thank you once again.